Should artists provide reasons why their artwork is good to the buyers and people they're selling their artwork to, or is it up to the buyers to come up with their own reasons why they want to buy it? So I was reading this LinkedIn post. It was from a art business person, Alan Bamberger, and he was basically saying that you need to find a reason why your art is good, so that once it's sold and it's in a buyer's home, if they ever get questions about it, the buyer can then basically defend their purchase and explain their reasoning for buying it. And it's kind of interesting just kind of reading this topic. It's something I've not really thought about before. I'm not really sure. I think it's going a bit too deep. I'm not really sure it's the artist's responsibility to explain to their, not just their buyers, but the buyer's friends why their artwork is good. I mean, surely you just buy something because you like it, and then if you don't, then you don't buy it. It's weird to be in a position where you feel as though you would need to defend your artwork buying decisions. But this is the trouble with art. I think a lot of art is enjoyed by people, but they wouldn't want to buy it. I'm sure there's a lot of guys that see artwork, kind of erotic artwork, or naked women, and think, "Wow, I really like that," for obvious reasons. But they can't buy it. They can't bring it home and put it on their mantle or above their mantelpiece, in the family home for wife and kids to enjoy. And you probably couldn't even put it in the man cave. There's just certain social rules about certain styles of art, and it's kind of a bit of a weird thing how there are these rules what you can and can't have. And this is a bit of an issue that I guess I have with the anime fandom and the sort of game art and comic book art style stuff that I'm doing, or tattoo related stuff. It's kind of just going to cater to a certain niche, and there might be people that enjoy it, that like the artwork, that would think, yeah, I would have that. I like that enough to buy it, but I can't buy it because it doesn't go with what society considers good. It doesn't go with the rest of the decor in the house that I've bought from my local homeware store, because that's all very safe. It's very kind of neutral colors. It's something that everyone can kind of get on board with. If I'm going for something a little bit different, a bit edgy, maybe, it might raise a few eyebrows, or it might get me into trouble in some way, and I don't want to be seen as someone that is odd or weird or different, or is that going to affect my order in the status hierarchy between me and my friends? I mean, I don't know how deep people think about this stuff, but just to read the post that I saw, it was one thing that artists should think more about is that owners occasionally have to defend the art they buy. Like, for example, if they're having friends over for dinner and one of them asks about a piece of art they have on display. Now they're on the spot. They have to say something intelligent. They want to look like they know what they're doing, like they bought it for a reason, and a good one. So make sure you always give buyers the ammunition they need to fend off questions they may get asked. It's weird, isn't it? Fend off those questions, those attacking questions. It's I haven't really properly formulated an idea. I guess I'm just putting the idea out there. I'm hoping that maybe someone will one day view this video and think, yeah, I've got some thoughts about that. This is what I would do in that situation. I think just generally it shouldn't really be the artist's responsibility to provide defensive ammunition against these attacking friends. But I can understand there is an issue there where it would be good if you could, in order to sell your art, persuade the buyer that, don't worry, there's no stigma attached to owning this. If you're painting a picture of a cow taking a shit on the floor, and that's your style, that's your thing that you enjoy, and the buyer enjoys that for some reason, even though it's a little bit odd, you should both be allowed to, both the artist and buyer should both be allowed to kind of celebrate the fact that they enjoy this weird subject matter and that they want to hang it on the wall. But it's obvious that, yeah, that people are going to go into the space where this artwork's been hung and ask some questions, and in those instances maybe you need some answers. And maybe if you do more sort of abstract art, if you have a giant canvas with a big blue circle on it and that's it, if people are buying that, and you can kind of understand why. It's a feature piece. It makes a bit of a statement in a home. Maybe they're going for that kind of modern minimalist look, or artsy gallery, modern art style thing. I can sort of get it, but I can also get that a lot of people would look at that and think, why did you buy that shit? Like, hopefully they would say, oh, I hope you didn't pay more, or my kid could do that. I hope you didn't pay more than a few pounds or dollars or euros or whatever for this circle on a canvas. And I guess that could make people feel a bit like, oh shit, no, I spent $10,000 on this painting from this artist, and yeah, I don't want to look foolish amongst people that think that I'm a bit, that I got ripped off, or that I'm just one of these la-di-da pretentious arty-farty types that, it kind of says something about you, the sort of artwork that you have on your walls. And to certain types of people, I guess they are going to have an opinion of you based on that. But then it depends on you as an individual. Like, do you really care? If you're an art buyer, like, are you really that worried about what other people think about you or your tastes or your art? Certainly some people will be, and I guess maybe therefore it is worth considering catering your product for these people and just giving them an extra reason to not worry about it once it's been bought, if that could be a problem for certain percentages, minorities amongst your buying crowd. So yeah, I think, like I say, because my artwork's quite niche and a lot of it's sold to existing anime fans, especially at like a comic convention, it's sold to sort of that student age demographic, 15 to 25-year-olds. And for a lot of them, they just want to put it on their bedroom walls or their student digs walls or whatever it is. They're not that kind of family going crowd that would not buy the artwork because they have to make sure that they can okay it with their husband or wife. I mean, sometimes that happens. Many a time I've had a sort of 30, 40-year-old couple want to buy some geeky artwork because they're both geeks, and that kind of works out fine for them. But I guess it really just depends on the type of artwork that you produce. I mean, I'm more persuaded by this idea that if you are going to put efforts into the kind of description side of artwork, then maybe you need just a bit of a reason why you have created the art, and maybe something that can kind of take people on a bit of an emotional journey. There's this idea of having the kind of hero's journey archetype story embedded into the artwork you've created. So you could go away and say, oh, here's some artwork I did, and here's how I went on to create it. And you could have a narrative arc of, I know what I wanted to do. I had a calling for some reason to create this certain image, and then I went out, tried to do it, and then there was adversity. Something happened. I spilt the paint all over the canvas, or I couldn't meet my deadline, and I was getting stressed and had all this emotional turmoil happen, or whatever it was. But then I dug deep and found a resolution and a way through it, and then I succeeded, and I've become a better person because of it. Something like that, I can see that working more effectively, and maybe that would be enough for buyers to then relay the story of why you bought it. Because we're all story machines. We all love stories and communicate through stories. So if you've got a good one and you've attached it to your artwork, and maybe if it's memorable, that's all you need, and you don't need to provide other defensive ammunition. But maybe it helps. Maybe it helps to say, I suppose when you're selling artwork, you just want to create like a bullet point list of as many positive things about that piece of artwork as you can. If you can say, I'm going to be the next big thing. I'm this up and coming young artist, or I'm an established artist with a career of how many decades, and I've exhibited at 50 shows in major cities like London, Paris, and New York, and wherever. Then maybe that helps. Maybe that can help sell the artwork and validate not just you, but the artwork that's being bought, and reassure in some way. But another little thing I've noticed as well is it might just be my certain audience. If you could say I have an audience, I still don't really feel like I have an audience. But I suppose there are some people out there who maybe don't care about my day-to-day life, but they like the artwork enough to dip in, buy it, never hear from me again, which is fair enough. I'm not here to be friends to thousands of people. I can only do what I'm doing, and if people want to follow the journey and see how it goes, that's great, but if not, that's fine too. But certainly at something like a show, so let's just say I'm going to sell 50 or 100 pieces of artwork at a show over the course of a weekend, like art prints, basically. Some people will come up to the table and have a look at the prints that I'm selling, have a good look, and it's always interesting. I think, should I engage in conversation when people come up to the table, or should I not? Sometimes it probably depends on who's coming to the table and what occasion it is, what event it is, what show it is. As I've said, I generally am exhibiting, when I'm exhibiting live, it's at comic conventions, sometimes tattoo conventions, gaming conventions. But certainly at the comic conventions, I think you're going to get a lot more sort of shy introvert types of people there. And you don't want to put them off by getting up in their face and start talking to them and asking them questions and putting them on the spot. Some people like to talk about, generally they say people like to talk about themselves, and some people are happy to do that, but maybe not with strangers that are just trying to sell stuff. And I think there are times when I've tried to do the spiel, because I've noticed that if I had to put a percentage on it, I think if I can engage in some kind of basic conversation with a customer before they buy, then it kind of increases the chance of them buying by maybe 10 to 15%. Not a lot, but it's probably worth doing. And there's probably about 5% of people who might have bought, but because I started speaking to them, it kind of put them off and they ran away. But I think on the whole, it does kind of benefit to do the talk. At a show where potentially you're getting someone come up to the table, every 5 minutes during a certain period. Sometimes there's quiet periods where there's not quite that, but it can be quite tiring to constantly, smile and say a few things, ask a few questions, engage in chit chat in order to kind of establish some kind of rapport. So it's all good and well kind of knowing what to do, but do you have the energy or the time or the inclination to keep doing it for every single potential sale? Because some people I've definitely noticed, they just don't care. Now, some people that are like, look, I just want to buy your art. I don't want to hear your life story. I don't want to hear how you spent 30 hours on this piece and you were worried that it was going to all go wrong and you was getting stressed out, but then you dug deep, you figured it out, you corrected those wonky eyes or funny looking hands or whatever, and the piece came to life and you're really proud of it. They're like, I don't care if you're proud of it. All I care about is the fact that I like the artwork and it speaks to me. It's got something in it that I like. Maybe I just like the characters in it. Maybe I just like the colors. And I don't care about you and what it means to you. I just care about what it means to me. And so well, sometimes, especially when I've sold, more so online, but when I have put fan art for sale, like on my website, for example, I would put a description of the series it's from. So certainly this year was some Dr. Stone fan art of the main character Senku from the anime and manga Dr. Stone. And they had a little description of what it's about as a general gist of the story. And I might have said kind of why I like it in general, like what's good about it. And I thought that was kind of enough just to kind of maybe remind sort of passing sort of fans that like, oh yeah, I recognize that character, but haven't watched the anime or read the manga for a year or two. They're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was actually really good. Oh yeah, all these characters that are being mentioned in this little description, I'm remembering it now, and I'm remembering the little journey they went on, and it's kind of sparking a little bit more of that kind of nostalgic feel. Once you kind of get into the description of what it was about, and sort of you're reminding people again. So I kind of think that's probably not a bad idea. It's hard to say. I mean, with my website at the minute, I'm only getting maybe like 20 to 30 visitors a day. And I think most of those are people who kind of just want the free content. So I have a blog on my website, and I'll basically put a few articles up that help aspiring artists or people in general with things they want to know about. One was how to protect your artwork from being stolen online or offline, and what to do about it if you find it stolen. That's quite a popular article on my blog. Another one was about exhibiting at comic conventions. Like the first 10 shows I ever did years ago, I thought I'd write like a little, at first it was going to be like a little mini report of like how I got on and what I learned from the shows. I kind of ended up extending it to like a major article with thousands of words. And for whatever reason, people find it, people enjoy it, people get something out of it. And that's good. That's a good, that's what it's there for. But really, in order to sell the artwork and not just provide advice, I feel like you need a higher hit rate. You need hundreds, thousands of people visiting your shop every day, and for you to have a product that's really kind of demanding that people buy your work. And I feel like maybe I haven't quite got that yet. I feel like I've got some good stuff that is worthy of buying and people do buy it, but mate, I feel like there must be something missing. So I'm trying to still figure that part out. And I think if I can figure that part out of what might be missing, sales will increase, and this might then be the answer to go from current part-time art to full-time, which is the goal. So yeah, just a kind of throwing a question out, like, should you give your art buyers the defensive ammunition to use to their friends about buying your artwork? So something to think about, something for me to think about, something for other aspiring artists to consider.